Today on the Bandwagon Says podcast, I am going to be recording with the new Rodecaster Pro 2. I will be discussing boom miking with the Shure SM7b and other things as well, so go ahead and stick around. Alright, after going through all the news, there is nothing that really seems noteworthy to discuss on this show, so we are going to jump right into what I've been testing, and I am going to say the thing. You have been listening to it, oh my gosh! Yeah, the air horn. That's original. That's not played out at all. You're very welcome for that. I'm going to go ahead and bring down that fader and hit the mute button so I never do that again. I did notice something. Okay, first, what microphone am I using? Earthworks Ethos. I should be using the Manley Reference Cardioid, but I'm a little bit lazy, didn't want to run the cable to the power supply, run the XLR over here and warm up the mic, all that stuff. Wasn't feeling it, being a bit lazy, so I am still on the Ethos. But most importantly, I am running into the new Rodecaster Pro 2. Did I get that right? Rodecaster Pro 2. And I am doing all of the processing in this, and that's what I'm really focusing on. I did just set this up before recording. I'm updated to the latest firmware, and my initial opinion, my initial thoughts, this is very granular. This is very powerful. It could be very powerful. It may be very powerful. I just have not been using it long enough to have any kind of determination about the actual use case for it. However, when I was setting up the microphone, I love it. I love the amount of processing and the granular control over everything that you have. High pass filter, de-esser, noise gate, compressor, EQ, 3-band only, aural exciter, and big bottom. Unfortunately, I know it's not aural exciter. I wish it was, and you can pan. And then, what else was I going to say? I was going to say something else. I was doing a test recording. If you have this on your desk, be careful, because while I was recording, I just hit a bunch of buttons with my elbow unintentionally, and now I can't hear anything, and it threw me off. I started thinking, oh, what did I do? I have lost the recording, and then I realized I soloed one of the channels. So, if you have the Rodecaster Pro 2 on your desk, be careful, because if you bump one of the buttons, might screw everything up. I am not going to walk through every bit of processing that I'm doing in detail, but I am using a high-pass filter, a de-esser, a noise gate, a compressor, and EQ just with a little bit of a mid-cut of 1.5 dB, and that is it for the microphone. Something of note on the master outputs, you do have something called their master compeller. There is a Twitter channel, a Twitter account, a tweeter that goes by the name of Produce New Media. I think it's Paul. He's the loudness guy. If you are into loudness, he's your guy, Produce New Media. And he drew my attention to this because he tweeted it, wrote about it. Apparently, the master compeller does some kind of fancy footwork. This appears just to be a master bus compressor. So I don't think it is in fact an emulation of the master compeller, but maybe it is. Maybe there's something under the hood that is doing a bit more heavy lifting and adding a bit of magic dust. I don't know, but based on the controls, it looks like just a bus compressor. That's good. I'm happy that's there, especially because it does have a gain, so you can actually add up to 10 decibels of additional gain at the master, which is a nice feature to have. If it's going into your computer a little bit too soft and you are at Unity, you can just go to your master and boop it up. Boop it up. You can boost it up and boop it up. Boop, boop, boop. What am I talking about? I am an idiot. So that's pretty interesting. And that's what I'm using. Let me know what you think of it. Tell me how bad my processing is, because I know it's going to be rough. Just let me know. And if you have this, let me know what you think of it so far. Let me know what kind of issues you have run into so I can see if I am able to recreate them, find any kind of workarounds for them, because a lot of people have had this for longer, well, maybe not longer than me, but I didn't have any firmware until launch day, and then I had other stuff that I had to review. And then I got flooded, so I have not spent any time with this until today.
I can't do this, though.
And that's pretty fun. How cool is that? Okay, let's jump to what you had to say. I am going to start with 2 comments on the same topic, and then I will reply to them. The first comment comes from Random Tech. He says, I am a realtor. Prices are starting to settle down, but they are not going to collapse. There is simply not enough homes. My recommendation, buy something, anything within your budget, and get on the property ladder. Homeowners have a net worth 40 times that of renters. Stop overthinking and just do it! If you don't buy it, an investor will, and you will continue to grow their wealth. Literally the best decision you will ever make for your financial future. And on a similar topic, Photo Tristan says, there may never be an ideal right time to buy a house. You wait too long, you end up never owning, and the prices over the long term keep going up. When I bought my condo, I thought it was expensive at the time. It's going up like double in 10 years though. You just gotta get in when you can and think about the long term, not short term. Random Tech and Photo Tristan, thank you very much for the comment. I understand exactly why you're advocating for this, because in the long term, housing prices should, in theory, appreciate. That's what history has shown us. History has proven that over the long term, housing prices appreciate. Just like the stock market, you may see a terrible month, you may see a terrible year. But over the long term, 20, 30 years, the stock market, at least in indexes, does increase in value. And like I pointed out last week, with hindsight being 2020, I can see that I have made mistakes by not buying. There were houses and condos that I could have bought. It would have been a nice house, it would have been a reasonable price, and compared to today's interest rate, it would have been bonkers. I could have been on the property ladder. I did not get on the property ladder at that time. So now I understand why you're saying that. But I have to disagree with you. I have to disagree, and people might think I'm crazy because looking historically, I can say I was stupid for not getting on the property ladder, and now you're saying, well, I'm not going to get on the property ladder. There's a reason for that, though. Let me explain my thought process here. The reason that I'm disagreeing with you is based on my income compared to housing prices mixed with interest rates. So when I get my paycheck, my taxes get taken out, then I automatically put a percentage into a 401k, into a retirement account, because I think that is a responsible thing to do. I want to plan for the long term. I don't want to die anytime soon, and I want to be able to retire. And in order to do that, I know I don't need to tell you, but I need to set aside a percentage of my income today, invest it wisely, and then when it's time to retire, that should be a pretty good nest egg, and I should have income for my retirement years, assuming I make it that long. And with all of that being said, the reason that I'm disagreeing with you is in order to afford a home with homes at the current prices, with the current interest rates, I would have to forgo any contribution to my retirement, take home 100% of my post-tax dollar, and then 70% of my income would be committed to paying for housing. Some people may be okay with that. For me, that just seems a little bit too risky. And I understand why some people are okay with that. There are plenty of experts out there saying housing prices will not drop. They will just continue to rise. Interest rates will continue to rise because there is limited inventory and too much demand. I don't care. I don't care. That may make me stupid, but I don't care. Because I am not going to put myself in a precarious financial situation just because I'm scared that housing prices will be a little bit higher tomorrow, or a little bit higher, or a lot higher in a year from now. I am not going to allow emotion to dictate one of the biggest financial decisions that I will ever make in my entire life. Because if I were to go down this road, I would be taking home 100% of my post-tax dollars, no retirement, 70% goes to housing, then I have 30% for utilities, food, insurance. I don't only have no money going to retirement, I have no money going to savings. The reason that's a problem, if I end up losing my job, there is no cushion there. There is nothing protecting me from losing my house, foreclosing on my house. Maybe if housing prices go up, you could just sell it, and then you have a little bit of money back after you pay back the debt that you still have. That just seems a little bit too risky for me. So maybe you're all right. Maybe the experts are correct. Maybe I will look back on July 21st, 2022 and say, Bandrew, you are such an idiot. No.
Bandrew, you are such an idiot. How dare you not buy a home again?
Maybe I will. But at the same time, I understand that fear is being shoved down every single one of our throats. Uncertainty is being shoved down every single one of our throats every single day, everywhere we look. And when it comes to making the biggest financial decision that we make in our entire lives, I am going to avoid any kind of emotion-based purchases. I am not going to allow emotion to factor into that. And currently, it seems like that would be the contributing factor for me. The fear that interest rates will continue to rise. The fear that tomorrow housing prices will go up. The fear that I will never own a home. Sure, maybe those are valid fears, but when I am buying a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 item, it should be because it makes sense for me, because I'm financially able to, and not because, oh God, the housing prices are going to go up. I'm not going to allow myself to be in that situation and that mindset when I am making this decision. Like I alluded to last week, I have gone full Spicoli here. All I need are some tasty waves, a cool buzz, and I am good, man. As long as I have control over my life, as long as I can control the things around me that I actually have control over, I'm rocking and a-rolling. I am rocking and a-rolling. If I end up not owning a house, who cares? Who cares? If I do end up being in a financial situation where it makes sense to buy a home, awesome, cool. If not, who cares? That's my mindset. I appreciate the comments. I wasn't coming at you. I just like explaining this stuff. It's a really interesting topic, and we are in such wacky times. Things are so uncertain. It's nice to talk about them and just get it off my chest and be but not even challenged to, be in a position where it is justified to justify my position, to explain my position. It forces me to think about why I'm making the decisions that I'm making. So thank you. Next, we have a comment from Vern, and he says, "Ooh, boy, you hit a nerve with the house talk. I was waiting to get a house for 4 years in the fall of 2021. Then, as 2021 unfolded, I looked on in disbelief as condos that a few years ago were selling for $100K were now selling for $200K. With interest rates rising and the prices of homes not really falling too much yet, I'm stuck in a crappy apartment for who knows how long. It's kind of discouraging." Vern, thank you very much for the comment. We are in the exact same boat. There was a condo that I was looking at in 2018, I think, $200,000. I wasn't in a position to buy it. Now there are no condos. There are no condos available unless I want bullet holes in the building. And I'll tell you a secret, I don't. I would prefer not to have bullet holes in the building that I'm moving into, the property that I will own. I don't think that's good for property value or for safety. So I want to avoid bullet holes. That's almost number one in my list of requirements for a home. Lack of bullet holes. Maybe that's asking too much. I don't know. We're in the same boat. A couple of houses that I saw a couple of years ago were maybe $230,000, $250,000. Now they're $450,000, and it just doesn't make sense to me. As far as being discouraged, I get it. I was discouraged for months. My blood pressure was through the heckin' roof. But then you need to realize that the stuff that you have zero control over shouldn't have an emotional impact on you. I'm not saying don't ever get emotional, don't ever get discouraged, don't ever get bummed out. Absolutely, that happens to all of us. And once we realize that stuff that's out of our control is having a negative impact on us, what I have to do is just let it go. I have no control over the housing market. I have no control over interest rates. I have no control over the money printer going brrrr. I have no control over any of that. There's nothing I can do about it. So I'm not going to allow those factors to ruin my day. Otherwise, I would be a pile of pure misery, just in a puddle, screaming at the sky. Oh, my dollar is being devalued. Oh, housing prices are skyrocketing while interest rates skyrocket, and then these institutional investors are buying all the property. I would be furious all day long, and then I stopped caring. And that may be the worst thing, to be completely apathetic, but it's a bit freeing. It's a bit freeing. I can take full responsibility for all of my actions and everything surrounding me. I can take account, I can take measure of everything that I have control over. And I can allow those things to impact my daily decisions and my daily actions. But when it comes to stuff like inflation, interest rates, the housing market, politicians, I have zero control over the decisions that they make or what is happening with them, so I am not going to allow those absolute bottom-of-the-barrel scumbags to impact my mindset, to impact how my day is going. So I am in the same boat as you, Vern, but hey, let's just rock and roll. All we need are some tasty waves, a cool buzz. I know I'm just repeating the same line over and over again, but once I say it enough, it will be internalized, and then I will believe it. I don't even have waves near me, and I don't do drugs, so I don't have tasty waves, and I don't have a cool buzz. But I can have the mindset of somebody who has tasty waves and a cool buzz. But that's my mindset. This is a wacky show. Thank you very much, Fern. I wish you the best of luck with the home search. I hope the condos come down in price and you can afford one. Best of luck. Next, we have a comment from Rebel Tech, and he says, I noticed you started using a what looks like Gator Frameworks quick release. I covered that one and a budget one a while back, and I love the Gator Frameworks much more. That being said, who do you think quick releases are for? I know a studio and a content creator like myself and you would use them, but it seems like that's the only place where they seem to be applicable and may only need to be as well. Rebel Tech, thank you very much for the comment. That is a great question, and as you point out, the obvious answer would be a content creator with multiple microphones or multiple microphone stands and a single microphone. If you have the Earthworks ethos, and then you have a microphone stand mounted to your desk, and then one in another studio, you could just pop off the microphone, throw it on the other stand. If you run a studio with a bunch of microphones, it makes switching them out a lot easier and a lot less time consuming. Also, you have less risk of stripping the threads on the microphone mounts, which is a big plus. But other than that, I think there are two groups of people who would benefit from quick releases. The first one being microphone addicts. If you are just addicted to microphones like Art Vandelay from Vandelay Industries in the Podcastage Discord server, he is a microphone addict. He likes switching out microphones and trying them all out. That would be a great thing for him because he could just pop it out, switch the microphone really quickly, and go from the, what would it be, the MXL R88 to the, I can't think of the Aston Element, the showerhead microphone. He could just switch them all out. I was just trying to think of the worst microphones on him. And another group of people, Or another category would be live venues, because you typically tear down the microphones at the end of the night and put them somewhere safe. Instead of having to unscrew every single microphone mount, you could just pop it off with a quick release and have the base of it on every single microphone stand, and it saves you a lot of time when you're unscrewing 30 microphones from stands. So that is who I think would benefit from a quick release system like the Gator Frameworks. And I have to agree with you. For the longest time, I was using, I don't know what they were called. They are Live Unit. I don't know what they are. I don't remember. And they got a little bit sticky after a year of use. These are just 10 times sturdier. But the reason why I bought them is you are able to buy just the portion that you screw onto the actual microphone. You can buy a 5-pack of those, so I don't need to buy 5 full connection quick release kits. I can just buy the portion that clips onto the microphone and just have 1 or 2 of these for different stands in my studio or in my living room. So that was the initial selling point, the initial reason why I said, oh yeah, I'll buy those. And then the quality, the difference between that and the Live Nation, I'm never going to remember what they're called, version that I was using is just night and day. These things are amazing. I love them. And that's going to be that's a little bit of a spoiler when I do an updated gift guide thing. That's what it's going to be. Next, we have a comment from Tech with KG. He says, "Hey Bandrew, great episode. I currently use the SM7b for my YouTube channel, but I was thinking of getting something that sounded similar that I can put far away from my mouth, so when I am on camera, the camera isn't in the shot." I'm assuming he means the microphone isn't in the shot. Is the Beyerdynamic M201 you showed good for this, or do you still have to be close to it? I tried stuff like the Rode video mic and the video mics and other video mics, but I did not like the quality, and I got better sound from cranking the gain way up on a SM57 mic'd off camera. Tech with KG, thank you very much for the comment. I really do appreciate it. And currently, you are listening to the Beyerdynamic M201TG. Let me go ahead and get my tape measure. And currently, I am about 10.5 or 11 inches away from the microphone. You can just see the tip right there at the top of the frame. And this is how it sounds. It may sound fine. I think it does sound fine. But I do not think this is a good option for distance miking. The reason that I'm saying that is this is a quiet microphone. Even when I have this microphone about 4 or 5 inches away from my mouth, chances are with something like the Focusrite, I'm going to have my gain near 100%. But now I have doubled or tripled the distance between my mouth and the microphone, and I have nowhere to go on the preamp in terms of gain. That means the signal-to-noise ratio is going to worsen, and with a microphone that is this quiet, the preamp noise of the preamp that you're running into does become an issue. And now I have made that issue worse. I have exacerbated. Did I get that right first go? And then I ruined it by just questioning myself. I have exacerbated the issue because now the signal going into the microphone is quieter, meaning that signal is closer to that already loud noise floor. And because it's so quiet, I'm going to have to boost the signal in post, and not only am I boosting the signal of my voice, I'm not only boosting what I'm saying, I am boosting that noise floor, and because my voice is closer to the noise floor, it's going to be much more apparent in the final product. So no, I do not think the Beyerdynamic is going to be an ideal solution for distance miking. I am going to switch to a microphone that I think might be better suited for it. And now I've switched over to the SE Electronics SE8, which is a cardioid small diaphragm condenser microphone. I think it's around the same price as the M201TG, which is $300. I think this is $260. I am, again, about 10 or 11 inches away, 48 volts on, and I was able to decrease my gain to about 130 on the Focusrite. And I think something like the SE8 or another hyper or super cardioid small diaphragm condenser would be a better fit for the application you're asking about. People like Alan from Sound Speeds or Curtis from Curtis Judd also recommend using a hyper or super cardioid small diaphragm condenser for internal booming of dialogue, just because that's going to be more favorable over a shotgun microphone. So to summarize my thoughts, as far as using a dynamic microphone as a boom mic, I don't think it's going to give you the best sound quality, especially in terms of signal to noise ratio. However, the SM5, which was the precursor to the SM7b, was designed, or one version of it, was designed to be used as a boom microphone for film work. And taking a page out of SoundSpeed's book, currently I am using the SM7b as a boom microphone, which is probably the worst use case for this microphone because you are going to be getting all the preamp noise. So you got the SM7b. Go ahead and use it as the boom microphone. Why the heck not? Experiment, have some fun. And when people say, oh my gosh, there's so much hiss in your recording, just say, you know what, I'm going for that analog feel. I want that tape hiss that was apparent on every single dialogue recording from the 1960s back in film, okay? So get off my back, I'm just retro. This is the cool new thing, okay? Deal with it. There you go. That's my answer for you. Hopefully that was helpful as I somehow pop or blow wind into the SM7B at 11 inches away. That's talent. I am talented. And because using the SM7B at 11 inches is insane, I was going to switch, but I have it set up. Let's go ahead and keep doing it for this last portion. I just want to throw out another thank you. I don't know what to call this. Is this going to be a producership for this show? Am I going to go full theft from no agenda and adopt the value for value model? I don't know, but I have to send a huge thank you to TechMed Rainer Richter again. He dropped a super thanks for 50 euros again and said, Donka, glad to see you back in your studio, Bandrew, and like that you use the Earthworks ethos again. I love this mic. Rainer, thank you so much for continuing to support the podcast. Happy to be back in the studio. Not fully back to normal, but happy to be back working again and recording stuff. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. And now let's jump to my favorite part of the show, the Ask Bandrew segment. Now we are in the Ask Bandrew segment. If you have any questions that you want to submit and have answered, go to askbandrew.com. There are instructions on how to send in audio, video, and text-based questions. I do prefer audio and video questions because then I don't have to read. We get to hear how you sound on your gear, and that is awesome. If you do submit audio or video, please limit it to about 1 minute or so. Really helps the show keep on moving, and really do appreciate it. AskBandrew.com. First submission comes from Paco. Take it away, Paco.
Hey, Bandrew. This is Finlos from the Finlos Lives podcast. Your reviews, podcasts, and explainers have been very helpful as I've geared up for my own recordings over the last year. I have a self-interested challenge for you. I am recording this message with 3 of the mics that I own and love best. The original Neat Worker B, the Electro Voice RE320, and the SE Electronics Dynacaster. The 2 dynamic mics are in neutral mode and are activated. There is no processing, and all 3 are being recorded simultaneously into the Zoom PodTrack P4, which I use for recording on the go, as well as for the Mix Minus phone and Zoom interviews. I challenge you and your listeners to match each audio sample to the mic that produced it, and then tell me which one you think sounds the best. I enjoy all these mics, so you won't hurt my feelings. Finally, thanks for your recent review of the Focusrite Vocaster 2, which I have pre-ordered and I'm looking forward to integrating into my workflow. This is the audio sample that I am recording for your listening pleasure. This is the audio sample that I am recording for your listening pleasure. This is the audio sample that I am recording for your listening pleasure. This is the audio sample that I am recording for your listening pleasure. This is the audio sample that I am recording for your listening pleasure. This is the audio sample that I am recording for your listening pleasure.
Paco, thank you very much for the voice submission. I really do appreciate it. Paco is trying to figure out which of the microphones he sounds the best on. The 3 mics that he has are the Neat Worker B, the Electro Voice RE320, and the SE Electronics Dynacaster. Here is what I heard when I listened through. Microphone 1 had the most hiss, microphone 2 had slightly less hiss, and microphone 3 had the least hiss. That is making me assume microphone 1 and 2 are going to be dynamics, mic 3 is going to be the worker bee. That is my guess. Then, mic 1 is the least bright, a little bit more mid-forward. Mic 2 is brighter and has a heavier bottom compared to microphone 1, and mic 3 sounds the most balanced and natural. So based on those tonal characteristics, I am assuming the microphone 1 would be the Dynacaster. That's not because I'm terribly familiar with the Dynacaster, but it's because the RE320, very, very bright microphone, boosted top-end microphone, and then it does have a bit more weight in the low end. So through the process of elimination, microphone 3, Neat Worker B, microphone 2, RE320, and microphone 1, SE Dynacaster. And as far as which of the microphones was my favorite for your voice, I would land on microphone 3 because that sounded the most natural, that sounded the most balanced. I can go over and jump to your email and open up the key and find out. I am going to spoil it. If you want to guess, leave your guesses. Sample 1, Dynacaster, Sample 2, RE320, Sample 3, Worker Bee, V1. So yes, the Neat Worker Bee V1 was my favorite on your voice. Then it would be a little bit of a toss-up between the 320 and the Dynacaster. The Dynacaster did tend to pick up a bit more of your room, so that would make me lean a little bit more towards the 320. And on your voice, I think the 320 is not terrible. I think you've got 3 winners there and a great selection of microphones to pick from. Thank you very much, Paco. I appreciate you. And let us jump to the second video submission from Leonardo. Take it away, Leonardo.
Hi, Bandrew. This is Leonardo Facchinetti, and before I even get to my question, I first want to thank you for everything that you do with your YouTube channels and your podcast and everything. You sometimes fear that your podcasted channel leads to overconsumption, but I actually find that it's the opposite. I actually saved a lot of money from not buying gear that I didn't need or that I wouldn't like, thanks to watching your videos. But anyway, so this is the Ask Bandrew segment, and I would like to ask you a question. And I don't have like a specific issue that I want to solve or a piece of gear that I would like advice on. Instead, I just want you to give me your notes on how my audio sounds. As many people are in this community, I'm sure that many people do this, I spend so much time tweaking parameters on compressors and worrying about this and that. So I would like to just have a review. What do you think I could do to step up my audio from where I am right now? So I guess it's similar to the kind of critique that you recently did in a stream with Boot Junkie and some other people. Anyway, so that's my question. How can I take my audio to the next step? And I will send you all the info of the microphones I'm using, the interface, the effects and everything. You may want to include that in the show notes. And yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much. Bye.
Leonardo, thank you very much for the video submission. I really do appreciate it. You want some feedback and critiques of your audio. You're currently using the Rode Procaster. You did provide a bunch of steps for your processing. Very complex, a lot of processing going on, and I will share my thoughts on what I think you could do to improve on your recording. First, I notice a lot of reverb in your room. If you are only 10 centimeters away from the Procaster, that's a shocking amount of reverb because that is about 4 inches for people who use the Imperial system. That is a pretty close mic, and it seems as though there's a lot of room tone in the recording. It sounds very reverberant, but not big reverb. It sounds like you're in a very small room. I think a good solution to that would be adding additional treatment in the room to try to reduce the reflections, because other than moving to a different space, nothing is really going to solve that, because the Procaster has a really good background noise rejection in my tests, so it should do a pretty good job at rejecting that. If you go with other microphones that have a less forgiving polar pattern, going to sound even more reverberant. So treating the room or moving to a different room that is bigger or has more deadness to it, more deadening agents in it, carpet, beds, couches, blankets on the wall, anything, I think that would improve the sound. Secondly, I think there's a bit too much information going on between 100 and 200 hertz. Sounds a little bit overpowering down there. I ended up trying a 3 dB cut at 150 hertz with a Q of 0.6. That cleaned up a lot of the low end, made it sound a lot cleaner, a lot clearer. I enjoyed that EQ on the voice, so that's something that I would recommend. And also, the last thing would be, to my ears, the compression is a little bit much. I would try rolling it back a little bit. I think you said you're only getting 2 dB of compression. Sounds like a lot more compression than 2 dB of gain reduction to me, but maybe my ears are going. I would play around with your compressor settings, maybe do just one compressor and then your master bus limiter, but the compression seemed a little bit much. Maybe try playing around with the high pass filter in the compressor, because there was so much low end information that was going to be the main frequency band that ends up getting compressed, and that may be making it sound like your audio is getting overcompressed. So those are the 3 things that I would recommend. Hopefully that helps. Thank you very much, Leonardo, and I appreciate you saying that the podcastage channel doesn't lead to overconsumption, and it has helped you make more informed decisions. Really does mean a lot, because I do worry about that at times. Thank you so much for the voice submission or video submission and the kind words. Next, we have a voice submission from Soundspeeds. Take it away, Soundspeeds.
Bandrew, I have a request for you. Would you please release another video in your Why I Don't Game series? Those are some of the best videos I've ever seen on the internet, and you've only released 2 of them, and the last one was about 5 years ago. Please, pretty please.
Alan is the worst. Alan sent me a Google Drive file saying, hey, here's my submission. It was too big to send over email. I was thinking, this'll just be 50 megabytes. No. 15 gigabytes. So I download it thinking it's going to be some kind of weird video file and he's just messing with me. No, it's an audio file that's 15 gigabytes. And once I tried to open it in QuickTime, it showed 18 seconds. So I start thinking, how in the world is an 18-second audio file 16 gigabytes or 15 gigabytes? This doesn't make any sense. So I do what anybody would do. I scanned it for viruses. He was trying to install a Trojan on my computer. He wasn't. I tried to open it in Logic Pro because I automatically thought, okay, it's a poly wave file. Drop it in Logic Pro. It says, this file is blank. There was no audio here. So I tried to open it up in Isotope. It says, we can't handle this many tracks. Not a thing we can do. My last-ditch effort was to inspect the file, get info on the file. And if you are watching, you can see exactly what I saw when I inspected the element. That says 64 channels. Yes, Alan sent me a 64-channel polywave file. But that wasn't enough for him. That wasn't trolly enough for him. So what did he do? Alan is such a big fan of 16-bit and 24-bit. He loves 32-bit floating point. Did he send it in 32-bit float? No, that wouldn't be enough for him. He decided, let's do 64-bit floating point. So we have 64 channels of 64-bit floating point audio. And what did he send it in? Is it 48 kilohertz? No, Now, why would he send 48 kilohertz? Was it 96 kilohertz? Why? Alan, 96 kilohertz? Child's 192? Get out of town. No. What's next? 384? You should be so lucky. What comes after that? 768? 768 kilohertz sample rate? That's what we're talking about. This is sample rate. Typically 48 kilohertz. Was it 768 kilohertz sample rate? No. No. Why would that? Why? No, it wasn't. It was 1,536 kilohertz sample rate. The monster. The monster. That is how he sent a 15 gigabyte audio file that was 18 seconds long. 64 channels of 64-bit floating point bit depth, 1,536 kilohertz sample rate audio. Let me just, I know it's overplayed, but I think he deserves this. Well, it's not going to work now. Hang on. We'll get there. That's just, Alan is the worst. To answer the question, what did he ask? I didn't even listen to it. I think I haven't listened. I didn't write it down. He said something about wanting to do why I don't game. Why am I getting a phone call? Sorry, where was I? I just got thrown off because I got a call from a Navy recruiter. Wrong number. I do not want to join the military. I do not want to join the Navy. Thank you for asking, but no thank you. What was I saying? Alan asked, when is the next Why I Don't Game video going up on Podcastage? Because the last one was 5 years ago. Was it really 5 years ago? It seems like it's been much more recent than that. The first game that I played was some kind of Call of Duty on the Xbox, and then I played PUBG. I don't know what I would play after that. Minecraft? I'll tell you what. I know there's somebody in the Podcastage Discord server that's about to scream when I say this, but the makers of Monkey Island are releasing a new installment in the series. When that game is released, I will record some kind of gameplay and make a new Why I Don't Game series, because even on point-and-click adventure games, I am terrible. If you watched me play, what was the game called? Thimbleweed Park. It took me 5 minutes to get through one simple part. The reason it took me 5 minutes is because I was clicking the wrong mouse button every single time. So you had to click the right mouse button to engage with something, and I just kept pushing the left mouse click, and then the clown just started swearing at me. It was one of the most obnoxious moments in any gaming live stream ever. 5 minutes of a clown telling me to F myself or something. It was insane. I guess I could just upload that clip and make that the next edition of Why I Don't Game. But I don't think that would be fun. So next time, when the new Monkey Island game is released, did I just call gamed? When the new Monkey Island game is released, I will do a Why I Don't Game with that video game. And I can hear the person just screaming.
Oh!
I know. All the only game Bandrew's ever played is Monkey Island. It's one of them. One of the few games that I've played. I also played Dead Space. I liked Dead Space. Resident Evil, Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9. Dragon Warrior. Oh, Dragon Warrior was my game back in the 90s. I loved Dragon Warrior. And then I learned, I think it was a free game that came in Nintendo Power or something. I really liked Dragon Warrior. And then probably 15 years after that, there was a Dragon Warrior for Game Boy that I ended up playing. I really enjoyed Dragon Warrior. That was a good one. And everybody played Mario on the NES. I don't have a deep video gaming history. Never really got super into them. Tony Hawk Pro Skater, I played that a little bit. All right, that's all that I've got. I appreciate it, Alan. I don't really hate you, but you are a monster for creating a 15 gigabyte, 18-second audio file. You're a monster. You're a
monster! Whoa!
Well, this is going to be annoying for everybody who listens to the podcast. I have to stop myself from using these. Okay. I appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had an amazing week. I hope you had an amazing 30, 40, 50 minutes, however long this episode was. I don't know because I have to edit this down. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will be back and I will be talking at you. I love you so much. You are the best. People like you. You are lovely. You are pretty. I will talk to you then. Bye-bye.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Boop.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.